People always seem to hate those F words like fractions. So now, in this video, we're going to solve algebraic equations with fractions. I'm going to actually split this up into two kind of different types of fractions. One type is when you just have one fraction on the left and one fraction on the right. Okay. Hopefully you remember the idea of cross multiplying, and that's, I think, the best strategy for doing these types of questions. So in this case here, you're going to cross multiply. So 2 times 30, that's 60. And then 6 times x is what you got there. Then you have a nice equation. You're going to solve for x, so divide both sides by 6, and you get x equals to 10. Now if you don't understand the idea behind that, go look at my Math 8 videos, especially in the proportion section, I think chapter 2, and you'll get an answer of why cross multiplication works. Or come find me in class and I'll tell you that. You're like, example number 2, I don't see a fraction. Make a fraction. 10 is the same thing as 10 over 1. Now cross multiply, so 5 times 1 is 5. 4x times 10, so that's what you're doing here, 4x times 10. Once again, you're not distributing them both right now, just to the coefficient. So this is this 40x. We'll solve both sides by dividing by 40. So x equals to 5 divided by 40. That's that fraction, or if you reduce it, I think both can be divided by 5. How about a fraction of 1/8? Hey, look, this is still two fractions, right? One on the left, one on the right. So we'll cross multiply. That 5 gets multiplied by the entire numerator of x minus 2. 10 times 1, that's just 10. Now we'll just distribute just like before. So 5x minus 10 equals to 10. I want to isolate the variable, so I'll add 10 to both sides. 5x equals to 20. I'm going to have x by itself, so instead of having 5 x's, I want to divide by 5 to get 1x. 20 divided by 5 is just 4. Okay. And same thing with example number 4. I'm going to get you to cross multiply. The numbers look big and scary, true. But if you actually can see that the right-hand side can be simplified first, I always think having smaller numbers makes a lot of sense. I think both of these numbers can be divided by 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And now, if you have this, you can now cross multiply and solve. 3 bracket m plus 7 equals 7 times m minus 9. 2 brackets, but not to worry, we'll distribute the brackets. 3m. 3 times 7 is 21. 7 times m is 7m. 7 minus 9 is, 7 times negative 9 is negative 63. Guess I will now subtract 3m on both sides. Running out of space. Oops. 4m minus 63. Add 63 to both sides. What is that, 84? So 84 equals to 4m. Sorry, ran out of space. Divide both sides by 4, I believe. What's 84 divided by 4? Oh, I should know that. 21. So 21 equals to m. Okay? Cool. That's good as a method when you just have a fraction on the left but a fraction on the right. But sometimes the equations involve more than just two fractions. And there's two ways you can do these ones. You can leave the equations with fractions and just deal with fractions, or you can actually rewrite the equations without fractions. Like in decimals, we wrote them without decimals. By multiplying by what? Well, you're going to multiply each of the terms of the fractions by the lowest common denominator. So I hope you know your multiples well, because that will go in quite handy for you if you're doing method number 2. But I'll show you both with example number 5. Okay, so we've got a fraction y over 2. And by the way, if you want to keep the fraction, that's the same thing as like 1/2 of a y. And y over 3, that's the same thing as 1/3 y, take away 1. Keeping the fractions means let's just work with the fractions. Using our basic algebra rules, I'm going to ask you to simplify by collecting like terms or isolating the variable. I'd suggest we then subtract 1/3 off of each side. And this is where you got to do the fractions. You're doing 1/2 minus 1/3. I guess you have to find the common denominator here, which is 6. That's 3 6 and 2 6. So 3 6 minus 2 6, that's just 1/6. So this actually just becomes 1/6 of a y, and this equals to -1. Okay. 1/6 of a y. If you want to write it as y over 6, that's perfectly fine. And then now you can just go ahead and use our cross multiplying idea, because you have the fraction on the left and the fraction on the right. So y just equals to -6. Boom, we're done. Okay, cross multiply. Y times 1, 6 times -1. If you don't like the fraction business, then yeah, we got to remove it. We should find the lowest common denominator of 2 and 3. If you said 6, that's correct. And so here's what you do. I'm going to take y over 2, multiply that by 6. I'm going to take y over 3, multiply that by 6. Take 1, multiply that by 6. So, dealing with this part here, 6 times y divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is just 3, so we have now 3y. Dealing with the next one, 6 times y is 6y. Divided by 3, that's 2y. And then 1 times 6, of course, is just 6. So 3y equals to 2y minus 6. Once again, now isolating the variable, let's subtract 2y off both sides, and you just get y equals to -6. Same. Okay? Same. So once again, either method works. Choose the one that you like. Alright, so example number 6 on the next page. Let's do one more, and I'm going to show you both ways. Once again, keeping the fraction and also multiplying by the lowest common denominator. Whew, keep the fraction. So this is the fraction. I'll write this as 2/3 x minus 1/6 equals 3/4 of an x. I think 3/4 is actually bigger than 2/3, so I'm going to actually then ask you to subtract 2/3 off of both sides. Now once again, this is the tricky part, so it's 3/4 minus 2/3. Common denominator, I think it's 12. 4 times 3 is 12, so 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. So this answer actually now becomes, on the right-hand side, 1/12 of an x equals to -1/6. Or you can write that as -1/6 equals to x over 12. Once again, only now two fractions, one on the left, one on the right. Cross multiply and solve. 6 times x is 6x. -1 times 12 is -12. Divide both sides by 6, so x equals to -2. Hey, let's do this again for those of you who hate fractions by removing it. And the lowest common denominator of 3, 6, and 4, I think it is 12. So once again, I'm going to ask you to multiply every single term. And did you hear me? Every single term. Did you hear me? Every single term by 12. First part here, 12 times 2 is 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 8x. Next one here, 1 times 12 is 12. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Last one, 3 times 12 is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. You have 9x. And then once again, isolating the variable. -2 equals to x. Ta-da! It's the same. Okay, I've done enough talking. Example 7 is yours. Use whichever method you wish. Once again, try them yourself. Then come back to check your answers with me. Once again, I hope you are correct, because if you are, you get this stuff, and if you're not, please figure out what you did wrong so that when you come to class, you'll be ready to get it right. Okay? It's your turn. By the way, I'm going to solve all of these by removing the fractions, because I think that's what most students like. The common denominator between 3, 2, and 6, I think, is actually 6. So multiply everything by 6. Now this one's interesting because you can go distribute first and then divide by 3, or you could divide by 3 first, then distribute. I like keeping things small, so I'm actually going to do the 6 and the 3 first. So I'm going to do the division first. 6 and the 3 becomes a 2. I'm going to leave the bracket like that. 6 times a half is just a 3. x is just x, so x times 6 is 6x, 6 times 6 is just 1, so 1x. Now I can just distribute 4x plus 10 equals 3 plus x. Subtract x on both sides. 3x plus 10 equals to 3. Take away, I think, 10 now on both sides. If I'm going too fast, of course you can always pause. Don't forget that. And don't freak out that your answer actually could be a fraction. Not everything is a nice integer. So in this case, x equals negative 7 over 3 is your final answer. Once again, for part B, I see 3 and 7. Lowest common denominator. Did you say 21? I hope so, because 21 is correct. Once again, I'm going to actually simplify this part first. Division, 21 divided by 3, that's 7. So 7 bracket x plus 1. 21 divided by 7, that's 3. So plus 3 bracket x minus 2. And then 1 times 21, that's just 21. Go ahead now and expand. 7x plus 7. 3x minus 6. By the way, I am going faster because I think you should be doing this right now on your own. If you're actually just copying this down and not really paying attention and doing it yourself, you're missing the point of actually trying problems on your own. In math, you do need to try them on your own. Don't just blindly copy what a teacher is doing. It's easy to copy. It's easy to think you understand when you copy, but really you need to try this on your own. So don't shortchange yourself and your own learning by just thinking, oh, I'm just going to copy this down so I have it, and then the teacher will be thinking, great, I did it, and I know it, but you actually don't. It's going to catch up to you sooner or later. X equals to 2. That's it.